Hey guys, Xeno back here. We're going to continue the Mega Man 5 evaluation. I know I've been gone for a little while, but I've just been busy these days. So, last time I went through the first 4 stages, started with Starman. So, I'm going to continue going in the weakness order, and this episode I'm definitely going to focus a bit more on the weapons in this game. I mentioned briefly how last time the weapons in this game are complete garbage, but it's with these 4 Robot Masters that this becomes a lot more apparent. So let's get into it. It's Napalm that I have to start with. So basically, as I mentioned last episode, the weapons we have so far are the cream of the crop, so to speak, even though none of these are particularly good except for Gyro Attack. Didn't get a chance to show off Crystal Eye, so I guess I'll show it off here. If it hits an enemy, it just kind of disappears. It has the same problem as Crash Bomber from Mega Man 2. It should really be splitting apart, which is its trademark behavior. If I shoot it against a wall, you'll see that it breaks apart into 3 crystals, but for whatever reason, they can never program these weapons in a way where they'll split apart if they hit enemies. I never really understood why, but show off some more Gyro Attack here because... So, I didn't get the chance to talk about those tigers since I was too busy yapping about the weapons, but basically, use the charge shot, they'll die in one fully charged blast. Not too hard to mitigate, but once you shoot, they'll start jumping at you. It's an obstacle that once you learn how to deal with the first time, you'll probably never get hit by again. And then, the first part of the stage is just kind of bland. It's a bunch of enemy rooms. And then this room is extremely weird to me. It has this unique mechanic with the drills, and I don't know if this was programmed into this game. It never shows it, even if it does exist, but in Mega Man Maker, for example, these drills can destroy walls. It's unknown to me if this is a feature that they programmed, because there's no walls to be destroyed here, but it's really weird to me how this one hallway contains these things, and they're never used again in the entire game. And they're also insta-kills. So that's something to be aware of. One other strange feature of this stage is these invisible walls. There's one later in the... No, there's one in Stone Man Stage 2, but it's just kind of bizarre. You can go through them, but... So this section, there's some flowing water that looks pretty cool. This section is neat. But you might be noticing that this stage is just a lot of enemy rooms, pretty much. Like, it's just set up with like 2 or 3 different enemies in a long hallway. And then we have Eddie here. You can manipulate him to get different items. I'm not gonna bother. That trait is a lot more useful in I guess Mega Man 4, because it's a lot easier to be in low health on Mega Man 4, but in this game you'll probably never find yourself needing E-Takes. That was a stupid death. So, these things. You shoot them in the head. They lift their arms up as they fire a missile, which can deflect your shot, but not too hard to deal with. They have 6 HP. The hitbox is a bit wonky, I think. For some reason, it seems like I should be hitting them. And this letter grab is really strange. If you try to just fall to the left normally, you'll find that you just kind of zip past it. What you have to do is slide off the edge and then tap left. I always found this really strange, and just kind of a random place to put the letter. More of these enemies. One thing you definitely will have noticed about this stage is that there's like almost no gimmicks. It's just a lot of entities. I guess these missiles are technically a gimmick, but like they're also sort of enemies since you can destroy them. I'm not really sure. But there's no even really Napalm related gimmicks. And then this place, you can scroll the missiles back and forth super easily and create a ton of lag. But there's no Napalm related gimmicks. There's nothing really related. There's nothing about this stage that would tell you that it's Napalm Man stage. In the Game Boy game, Mega Man 4, they kind of fixed this. There was fire and some more interesting stuff in that stage. Blocks that get destroyed and a bit more variety in terms of what's going on, but this stage, pretty boring. Probably one of the most boring stages in this entire game. Nothing really unique going on. Then Napalm Man himself. He also suffers from Toadman syndrome, as you probably would have expected based on the other bosses in this game. If you're far away, he'll do that missile attack. If you're close to him, he'll fire upwards like you saw him do. Pretty much all you have to do to circumvent this is walk back and forth. Actually sliding is more efficient because that guarantees you won't get hit. But you pretty much just go back and forth like this. I'm not doing a very good job of it right now, but for some reason the Crystal Eye only does 3 damage to him, which I guess is because it splits into a bunch of different pieces, so it's like easy to hit him with. You get a lot of random shots with the Crystal Eye doing this. But anyways, really not much to write home about. Pretty boring pattern, all things considered. Easy to learn, like I mentioned last time, but pretty... not very chaotic, not very challenging. Moving on. Napalm Bomb is the start of the weapons that are almost completely worthless. I'll get a chance to show you this immediately in the next stage, but this weapon, not really good for much. Has like probably 3 specific uses I can think of that are kind of good. I'll be sure to show those off because, you know, fleeting moments where this weapon is viable. Alright, let's have a look. Basically, this travels along the ground. If it touches something, it'll explode. But one thing I noticed is that, and I'm not sure if this has been pointed out by anyone previously, but when the weapon touches the enemy, it doesn't actually explode. You see how it just touched the Met and disappeared? I don't think the explosion actually damages anything, it's just a visual effect, so the damage comes from the bomb itself, which makes this even worse than it already could have been. Anyways, enough about Napalm Bomb. You might have noticed that there's a pit to the right here, and yes, you can actually fall off here and die. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but it's there. And another thing about Stone Man stage that you'll probably notice as this drags on is that I think this is the longest stage in any classic Mega Man game. It's like 32 or 33 screens long, which is way longer than most other stages. And it definitely feels long, too. A lot of the same types of set pieces just kind of repeat over and over again. And it's another one of the stages in Mega Man 5 that just has a ton of these enemy rooms with nothing going on. Just hallways and hallways of enemies. Because, again, nothing about this is bad per se. It's just very bland. Wait, I think I might have missed the letter. Yeah, I think I did. Alright. Alright. Oh, wait. I screwed myself. I guess I'll have to come back. Actually, if I die, will I be able to get it? This is a good chance to show off this interesting little gimmick they programmed to this stage with the breakable walls. And when you talk too much, you don't really get to point it out. Alright, we're back at the start, so I'll get to grab the letter after all. I've said time and time again during this evaluation that one of the core problems with Mega Man 5 is just the stage design being not very interesting, and this is the stage where that's most evident, I'd say, aside from Napalm Man's. Oh wait, I did get it. Okay, great. I guess I'm just on complete autopilot here. I guess I'm not paying attention to anything I'm doing. Force of habit, I guess. So anyways, we're like 10 screens into this level and nothing has happened. No gimmick introductions, no nothing. Just a bunch of enemies doing whatever. And one thing I failed to mention up till now is that a lot of the enemies just kind of wander around and don't really take much notice of Mega Man. This mouse enemy down here just kind of goes back and forth, doesn't really care about us being here at all. And this health pickup I don't really think was necessary here, but it's whatever. So we're now like 15 screens into the level, and it's just been barrages of enemies. There has not been a single gimmick. This room would contain an M-Tank on the far right there, but I already got one from Crystal Man stage, so you won't be seeing that. Actually, this would have been a good chance to show off the little quirk of the M-Tank, where if you use it with full health and ammo, it turns every enemy on the screen into a 1-up. But I don't have full weapon energy for Napalm Bomb, so I guess that won't be happening. This is another place where you can see that you can shoot through these enemies' shields, which is an interesting and cool little detail they added. I'd really like to know what about this stage so far screams stone, besides, you know, the geometry being made out of rocks and the background being a mountain. Because there's nothing really, there's no stone-related gimmicks, there's nothing interesting about, I don't know, breaking rocks or mining or something. It's very bland. It feels like a lot of the kind of creative effort of this game was lacking, aside from a few key moments. There are some good set pieces coming up in the next two stages, which are probably the high points of the creativity in this game, but otherwise really lacking. This stage and Napalm Man stage in particular are just god-awful. Get to show off a few of the utilities and weapons. There's another little secret to the right here. Let's refill gravity hold. So this is almost the end of the stage, and during that entire time, the only gimmick that we've seen is the rotating platform, which was already used in Crystal Man stage. So, literally nothing original going on in this stage. It's just like an enemy kill fest. And then Stone Man himself is probably the closest thing to Toad Man you'll see in this game, even more so than Napalm Man. He literally just jumps around and crumbles. He's invincible, he's crumbled, but it doesn't really matter because you can just hit him in the air. He'll only use that Power Stone attack that you saw at the beginning if you're far away from him. I'll demonstrate that right now. Or try to. Wow, I'm having a hard time. Okay, there we go. So, if you're far away from him, he'll do that. But it doesn't even matter because that thing will never hit you if you're far enough away. So, really a worthless pattern almost. And for the rest of the battle, he'll just jump around like that. Power Stone has a reputation for being one of the worst weapons in the classic series, which, not to say it's particularly better than any of these other weapons, but it's really, really god-awful. Let's have a look at that right now. So basically, it fires 3 stones that rotate around you. The problem is that this is really hard to hit anything with, and the stones break after 1 use. You might have also noticed that I can't fire this again if all the stones haven't despawned, which is another bad property of it. And one of the weirdest things about this stage is that it has rooms like this, where there are 8 tiles that you can stand on, and the rest of the screen is just empty. This is really strange to me, and it looks terrible. They definitely should have had some geometry over there, like, this could have been an entire room with, like, the platform that you get on before riding a train, because on the next screen you'll see that the screen is moving, and we're now on a moving train here. There are little sound effects going on in the background that are portraying the train as rumbling and such, which is a nice touch, and the scrolling is pretty good. But when it comes to the actual stage design, just more enemies. Enemies upon enemies upon enemies. And no gimmicks to speak of. On the inside of the train, the rumbling actually makes the screen go up and down a little bit, which you can probably see right now, which is one of my favorite little touches in this game, and it's part of the reason I still think this game has a lot of charm. But when it comes to the enemies, it's more of the same. These enemies are good chances to use Napalm Bomb. Probably one of the only enemies in this game I would encourage you to use Napalm Bomb on, as a die in one hit from it. And I'm not sure if I pointed this out, but it'll explode on its own if it goes far enough anyways, so. This letter grab is really just kind of random. I don't think they could have thought of a less creative place to put this. A lot of these later stages are really lacking in anything, you know, ingenious. And then another one of these screens where there's just a bed of spikes on the left. There could have been some sort of challenge to get the letter here. You know, something simple with, like, platforms over the spikes, but nah, just have an empty screen, and then walk to the right again. I'm trying to use Super Arrow to just fly over the rest of this. Ah. Alright. So you can see how creatively bankrupt even this part is. Just more goddamn enemies. There's really nothing worth talking about here at all. It's such a shame. These weapons aren't even very effective against these enemies. So Charge Man. He has the most aggressive AI in this game. He'll constantly follow you pretty much, and randomly charge, which can be a problem because of how closely he hugs to you. Like, look at him. He's constantly on my ass. And his weakness is the Power Stone, which I don't think I could have imagined a worse possible boss to give this weakness to, because he moves around all the time, and the Power Stone is almost impossible to hit him with, unless you stand at point blank. And you'll probably notice that if you try and fire the Power Stone, you know, one after another, you can't, because the two other stones are worthlessly floating around the edges of the screen. So what you'll end up doing is this: pausing the game over and over again to clear the Power Stones from the screen and just spamming it right next to him. And this is the best strategy. It really makes this battle a lot worse, honestly. The coals he fires also fall in random positions, which should have been telegraphed, but I'm not surprised that they didn't really have a good grasp on telegraphs until the later entries into the series. Alright, last stage, Wave Man. Probably the most unique of the first 8. It has the most memorable section, I'd say, out of any of the first 8 stages. I haven't talked much about the music, because the music in Snowman stage and Charge Man stage is pretty unimpressive to me, but this song is awesome. It's a complete bop. One interesting thing to note about this stage is that in the first section here, there are absolutely no normal enemies. These are all kind of stage objects. So now time for this really weird pipe mechanic, which is used this one time and nowhere else in the entire game. Mega Man 5 has a lot of these instances where something shows up for one room and then is never seen again. The Starman platforms, the Napalm Man drills, a lot of these things just show up once and then vanish from the game. And basically, the pipes just take you through them. This could have been used for a lot of more interesting setups, rather than just taking you from point A to point B for a one-up grab, but, you know. I could fill Mega Man 5 with what-ifs all day, but it wouldn't really change anything, because this is just how it is. Now this bubble section, which is another instance of something getting used for 5 seconds and then never again. Basically, you can ride on these large bubbles, and the small ones pop if you stand on them for too long. And this is what you're intended to do, just jump from right to left. It might take you a couple of tries to figure this out on your first run. And then there's a small bubble that pops up over here, but I'm just going to skip it with Super Arrow. There's an interesting glitch pointed out near this section in a few videos. I can think of, most notably, Gemini Laser, I think, has an entire segment detailing how you can skip this upcoming section with the Super Arrow. There's some invisible collision here. You see, it's sticking onto nothing. There's invisible collision here that allows you to skip this bike. But moving on to the bike itself, you cannot pause while riding this. So you can't use E-Tanks even if you wanted to. You also can't charge while riding this, which is pretty stupid, but it's fine. This section is a really cool idea, but I think it drags on for a bit too long, and the letter grab here that happens later is pretty stupid. But these enemies and just the atmosphere of this section is really cool. This stands out to me as one of the most unique moments, probably. This boss has pretty lame AI. He has no telegraph, and he just pops out of the water and fires this single energy ball really fast at you. I think the easy strategy is to just skirt the ball by jumping, like you saw me do multiple times, but, you know, nothing particularly interesting about the boss aside from its visual design. Pattern is really lacking, just like a lot of other things in this game. So here's the letter grab, I think. It's about to come up, and you just kind of have to know it's there, otherwise you're really likely to get hit by one of the enemies and just miss it. Yeah. I might even miss it myself. Okay, yeah, I almost missed it there. The timing is a bit complicated, and the position itself is pretty awful. I would have put that letter in the bubble section probably, or somewhere where the placement is more strategic and less just about knowing that it's there. And then this single random enemy to finish off the stage. And as you probably would have expected by this point, Waveman's pattern is nothing to write home about. He fires a projectile and he jumps at you. He does this water spurt, he fires a spear, and he jumps at you. Over and over and over again. Thankfully, one intelligent decision that they made here is that the water spout never spawns directly on you, which would have been stupid, but thankfully they didn't do that. All you have to do is jump over the slow-moving spear and kind of jump. So, you can use Charge Kick on him here. I don't know why you can still get damaged by the water spout while being invincible. I don't know of any other object in the game that you can get hit by like that. So, weakness choice again, kind of questionable, not the worst thing possible. Ironically, I think Charge Bandit's weapon probably would have worked best as a weakness against himself because of how much he moves around, but it wouldn't really make sense to have him be weak to his own weapon. Unless we're talking about Mega Man 3 here, because every boss in that game is weak to their own weapon. And that'll just about do it for the first 8 stages. I'll get to show off Water Wave in the next segment probably, but it's a subpar ground crawling weapon. Garbage, just like all the other weapons I showed off in this video. That'll do it for now. I'll be back later to cover the first fortress, and then we'll have 2 more videos in this series. The first fortress and then the second fortress, which both contain some more bland level design among little bits of interesting design decisions. Like I said, a lot of this game is a bit disappointing. The charm is definitely there, but the design is really lacking at a lot of points. That'll be it. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you a lot for watching, and this is Xeno signing off. See you guys.